go try like 10 of the same one and pick which one you like the best.
Really?
Yeah.
They vary that much?
Yeah.
Well, because they're all kind of handmade.
And weight. Yeah, weight's different because the wood's different, right?
Yeah. See this?
What's that?
Well, it could mean stop.
Okay.
It could mean something else, but
It's a different gesture.
yeah. But this is a hand.
Oh,
Yeah.
shocking.
Yeah. Hand. And hand, I think, is like an old term that came about from back in the suit makers' days, the custom suit makers. I think they measured things with their hand.
Well, yeah.
Sure, why not?
Why not, right? That's before yardsticks existed. Or
That's
whatever.
What a tool.
Yeah. And if you had the right size hand, I guess you could figure out anything.
Even if you didn't, it's a little off.
Yeah. You go get someone's back, you go, 4.5 hands are good. But, yeah, I mean, back in the medieval days. But
Yeah. Where are you going with this one?
Yeah.
anyway, yeah, hand. Well, hand also signifies a feel or a touch or how something feels to a person. And, right, it has a certain handle.
Yes.
Yeah. So let's talk about that in terms of design.
Yeah, I prefer hand feel for a little bit more clarity.
Hand feel.
But that actually is something that we seem to spend a lot more time on than most. I think it's very important. And oddly enough, I think the vast majority of consumers feel it's important too, but especially in this day and age, it's infrequent where you actually touch the product before you buy it. It's becoming less common.
Well, that's true. The day and age of internet here where everyone's just ordering on a photo, you can't, there's no feel to it.
Especially at lower prices, it's very uncommon.
That goes for anything. I mean, like a drumstick. Like I could picture that. You wouldn't want to buy a drumstick that gives you splinters, right?
Well,
These kinds of things matter, right? A lot of times you're like, well, I'm going to be interfacing with it. So how does it feel to use? And from a picture, it's hard to judge oftentimes. And that's actually something that we tend to get a lot of positive feedback for on our products. They tend to feel better than people expect,
Right.
which is sort of both pro and con. Because, the hope is that pictures and whatever advertising represents the product accurately.
I think that's proper marketing too, though. If you,
Well, it's the better side to go
Some
towards.
companies are oversell, and
They
then
do,
you
yeah.
get something that's like,
oh yeah, it's
It's
kind of
disappointing,
Like the front
yeah.
of the box is like enlarged to show texture or something. So
Right.
it's a little.
Yeah, you look at the cheeseburger in the picture and you get it and you're like, well, that's not.
yeah, right. Well, it never is.
Yeah.
It's like smash. But, yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
So I get it, but also it does generate sales. So it depends on what you're going for. If you're just looking to sell, you would make the product look as good as it can, and who cares how it feels?
Yeah.
Right. But if you want to make a quality product, you care a great deal how it feels,
Well,
how it is to use.
Something like I don't play guitar, but you do, and like guitar strings, aren't they? They must have various roughness because
Oh,
you
yeah.
can get all kinds.
Yep.
Right.
Yeah.
I mean, so there's a feel there to that, where you're after a sound, but a feel too. Right?
That's right. Well, it's almost more important for feel, yeah, because it's like how hard they are and how bendy they are, so they slide better on the frets and everything. Keith actually just got a guitar today, and there was a pun on the box that says "no strings attached," and I'm like, he's like, hopefully that like literally means it doesn't come with strings because I'm just gonna cut them off and put my own strings on because it was a cheap.
They always
guitar.
come with shit.
Yeah. So, I mean, high-end guitars come with nice strings, but
Right.
this is not that.
Right. Well, they expect you're going to put on your
Yeah.
favorite strings.
But it did come with bad strings.
Yeah,
And they
right.
feel bad.
Yeah.
I'm like, these is bad.
But that's difficult because you're after a certain tone with the guitar. You're after a certain
Well, that's it.
harmonic resonance, and the materials is made of set that up.
Right.
And of course, it's got to be able to be stretched all to hell and not go ding.
Well, there's more,
You know,
like guitars are a
think of all
perfect
that.
example of hand feel because even between a model, since all the necks, they feel different, a lot of them
They
are
all look
handmade.
so similar, right?
Yeah.
Yeah, right.
But it just depends on how good of a job the guy did that day on sanding the neck, right? Some
Yeah.
feel better than others.
Right.
So you could try you pretty much have to, if you want to go buy a high-end guitar, go try like 10 of the same one and pick which one you like the
Really?
best. Yeah.
They vary that much?
Yeah.
Well, because they're all kind of
well,
handmade.
and weight. Yeah. Weight's different because the wood's different, right?
Yeah, right.
So different pieces of wood weigh different things, so
Yeah,
they all
right.
have different weight. So yeah, guitars are a perfect example of you pretty much have to go feel them.
Well, see, that's the thing with handling in general is that it depends on the user too. Like it depends how you hold the guitar. If you hold it tight,
Well, yeah.
loosely, how big are your hands,
There's a lot of
Right.
preferences.
how you're
yeah.
wrapping your hands around. I mean, you think
Right.
about all the variables that I could see where certain guitars just won't work for certain people.
That's right.
Which would be, I mean, we get that. It's what same thing with headphones. It's no different.
Yeah.
Yep.
Some headphones just some people have head shapes very wildly. Some people have head shapes that just, they almost can't find anything they like.
Yep.
It's just very difficult. And when they do, they don't even give a shit about the sound at that point. It just fits.
Just works.
It works. Yeah, right.
Well, there's actually a lot of things with headphones, and headphones tends to be one of those ones that hand feel can be really quite important, but it's very hard for someone to tell you whether or not you're going to enjoy it.
It's subjective.
Well, yeah.
Because it really depends on how you want it to fit. So something like Diana, for example, the ear pads fit a little different than most people are used to. And that doesn't necessarily mean it's good or bad, but it's different. So it can be good, it can be bad. Depends on the person, depends on your perception.
Depends what you're used to.
Right. And that's sort of the trouble with these things. There's a whole bunch of different aspects in the design that influence how it's going to feel. And it's one of those things where you almost have to make it to touch and feel. You could kind of guess ahead of time what it's going to feel like, but that's where 3D printing really comes to play. It's nice to be able to get something, a physical sample, because you can look at something on a computer screen all day.
Yeah.
But to physically print it, a lot of times it's different.
Right.
The dimensions are all the same. It looks the same,
Just
right?
for
But actually
shape.
pick it up and feel it. And the weight's
Yeah.
usually off
Right.
and things like that. Maybe you could weigh it and finish it and sand it and stuff like that to get it finished just right. But to be able to interface and touch with the product, a lot of times it's really helpful to get the feel.
Well, especially because you're wearing it. Like,
Right, right.
that's a different position. It's not like it's sitting on the coffee table or,
You're not just looking at it,
It's
you're
not like a
touching
TV
it,
on
you're
the
putting it on your
wall.
head.
It's not a painting on the wall.
Yeah, you're never really, there's no interaction between your skin and these things hanging around, sitting around a house. But with stuff that you wear, same with materials, same
yeah.
with clothing. It's
all
huge.
kinds of stuff like that.
They
Like
got some really nice materials now for
blankets
shirts.
and everything. How many products have little circles that says "feel here"?
Yeah,
a little
like
cutout?
blankets are the
Yeah,
great
right.
example. Who doesn't touch the blanket
That's
before
right.
they buy
Every
it?
time I'm going into like a
Yeah.
Home
Anywhere.
Goods or something,
Yeah,
You buy it because of that.
that's right.
Right? And if you just look at it in a photo, you might be like,
you
Yeah.
can't tell.
But
Right?
it's
No,
there
you
on the
can't.
store and you
Yeah.
go, ooh,
Yeah,
and you buy it.
Man, the China keying on that the last couple of years. Those
Yeah, yeah.
blankets
They
are
are
freaking
nice now, yeah.
everywhere.
Right.
But they're cool and they're relatively inexpensive. $20-$30 for something you could just toss in a
you
year.
have a
New one
lot of
every year, yeah.
things like weighted blankets now, cooling blankets, weighted cooling blankets.
Oh, the newest thing I just saw last week: heated weighted blankets.
Heated weighted cooling blanket.
For us in the northern climate.
I guess, yeah.
Right. But these things are designed to solve sensory issues because it's not a physical issue, really. It's designed to make you feel like the product does a certain task. It feels comfortable.
On
It's
your
easy
body.
to use, whatever, right? It has a nice surface to it or whatever. It's pleasant to use. And on a lot of consumer products, this is hypercritical. And you usually don't get strong attention to detail on low-cost consumer products because it's usually hard to achieve.
Well, what they do is they try to fluff it up to mask
Yeah.
the actual real feel. Massive, like on headphones, they put massive ear pads. Well, that accounts for a lot of stuff. It also probably increases clamp force, which is a typical complaint when you have massive ear pads, right? It's tight to your head because
It
it's
depends on
got
your
to
head
be.
shape, but yeah.
You got to make up for that much distance that's really not doing anything, and it's still got to stay on your head. Same with the top headband, massive padding, which really, if you looked at it, it could be done
Yeah.
more effectively.
That's a fickle one.
You know what I mean?
So padding, I think, overwhelmingly what we've seen people's feedback on padding is they expect padding to look a certain way, which is curious. Comfort is irrelevant for a lot of people. They kind of feel comfort with their eyes first,
That
overwhelmingly.
looks
No, that's true.
comfortable.
It
Yeah.
needs to look comfortable for a lot of people.
It's like tube
for
versus
it to
solid
feel-
state.
But this is a reality. Honestly, for a huge percentage
Yeah.
of people, it seems to be
I
a reality.
believe it.
If it doesn't look comfortable, it is not comfortable.
You're done before you even put it on.
It's all mental.
Well, it happens all the time with 1266. People, before they get them, they're like, I don't know.
It's always like
And
that.
then people are like, oh, I figured it out.
Yeah.
Yeah.
If you've never worn the AB 1266, people are going to
We're
go.
kind of on one extreme
Yeah.
on that one,
Well,
though, right?
very, yeah. Because
So-
it obviously looks the part.
Yeah,
it's
right.
it's medieval looking for sure.
But there's headphones that
Doctor Who
people
and all
say
that.
look comfortable, and then they're not. Actually, after 2 hours, I have a hot spot, or I have pain
Yeah.
here, it's things like that.
Yeah, and it could have this massive thick padding all around.
But it looks
and
comfortable.
it just doesn't feel good at all.
Because overwhelmingly, thick padding is kind of sort of, it's a hack,
Well,
right?
there's physics involved.
Yeah.
We looked at it with 1266, and a lot of companies now are using a hammock style
Yeah.
Right.
separate
You see stuff
headband,
like that a lot more, yeah.
that allows the frame structure to be separated.
A couple of people do it
know?
great, but there's a lot of companies that just don't prioritize it at all. They don't feel good. They don't look good. They're not comfortable to wear. And it's strange to see that in the industry. And it's sort of a combination of different strokes for different folks, I guess you would say, because like everything in product design, if you're actually making it from the ground up, you could make anything. So that sort of means the product ends up being what compromises you decided to settle on. Because, of course, you could make the most perfect product ever for you, but to make the most perfect product for everyone is near impossible because people have different tastes.
I got the perfect example of the tippy top.
Yeah.
Yeah. It'd be Formula One. Like the seats are custom made for each driver, right?
Uh-huh.
But you could do that in that.
Tailored for
each
the driver.
one, everybody has their own
Makes
seat. So you
sense.
can't get anybody's car because the seat won't fit
Well,
you.
your ass would hurt bad
Well, and
if you had forces on your butt
well,
that
that's
were
the thing,
wrong.
you can't slide
That
around.
would make
Yeah.
sense.
But yeah, they're all custom
I mean,
made.
the G-forces
There's a
and all
lot of
that they're
force on your
constantly dealing
body.
with. Yeah.
You got to make sure it's going
You
to
put
the
that
right
on one
parts.
spot, it's going to be a problem.
Right.
Yeah.
But at that level, yeah, you can custom make it per person.
Yeah.
But for most things, you
Do
can't.
they customize their helmets too for their heads?
Yeah.
That would make sense because they got some serious helmets.
What's the thing? Because
They block their head in place in those cars, right?
Apparently, no. But they said they lose so much like sweat through the race that their helmets don't fit as well. They lose like so much water, you know.
Jeez. They lose weight in their face.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah.
Wow. Never thought of that.
Yeah.
There's
Well-
something you got to think about when you're engineering a helmet.
You got to think about everything
Yeah.
all the time.
Yeah.
And sort of ties into our last video.
Never thought the head shape would be a variable.
A lot of people don't get it, but it's incredibly difficult to engineer a spectacular product because you really have to consider every use case, every person that's going to use your product, and which means you need to predict who is going to use your product, how they're going to use it, how they're going to misuse it, what they could do to damage it, what they could do to modify it, what they might potentially do to it, how they might treat it, what failures might occur, how can you mitigate them in advance, what do people expect it to feel and look like?
It's called experience.
Right.
We've been doing it long enough where we pretty much got it down. But yeah, you compare a product like this, which on the outside for most people looks similar to the first Diana we did.
Yeah.
I don't know how long ago, 6 years ago.
Pro
or
and
whatever.
a con there.
You know,
Yeah.
But when you pick it up, feel it, put it on, completely different handle
Well, yeah.
than
Right.
the original.
That's true.
Radically different.
All around everything.
Yeah, I picked up an
Nothing's
old
the
one,
same.
and I pick these up all the time, and I'm like instantly could tell. I'm like, oh, this is the same headphone.
You can tell how old it is from what
Yeah.
it looks like, yeah.
Right.
But just the feel of it.
Yeah.
Right.
And so there's just years of refinement gone in where we got it down to a science, but that goes for all products.
It
out there,
took a
really,
while,
you
Yeah,
know?
everybody pretty much does that.
You know?
Well, you hope.
Right.
Some people actually don't.
Right. But it takes time. It just takes time.
does,
I mean,
yeah.
you're not going to get everything right the first time out the gate. It's not going to happen. Which could kind of explain why
nearly
Apple's
impossible.
first over-ear headphone, looks the way it does and feels the way it does. And we did a video on that, which was pretty popular. Or what do they call it?
AirPods Max.
AirPods Max, yeah. And but anyway, yeah. I mean, you could see where they said, you know what, this is good. It looks different than anything else. It's good. Let's put it out there. We'll sell a shit ton of it, and we'll get a ton of feedback, and then we'll figure out what the next step is when and if that occurs. And you can see the thought process and just leaving it rather than going overboard, right? And then skipping over things that you might have missed because you said, I already figured it out. No, you got to really put it out there, and then see how it works.
I'm sure they learned some things.
Yeah,
We'll see what the
absolutely.
second generation
Yeah,
looks
absolutely. Yeah, and that'll be the telltale signs of
Yeah.
what changed.
That always is the sign, right? It tells you how compliant is engineering to actually make adjustments. How set are they on the design? If they come out with a second generation or different revision, or what do they change? Why do they change it?
Yep.
That's always the stuff I find interesting. Always the tiny little minuscule tweaks you can't see, but they're there. And it's almost every product is like that. You pick it up and it's like, this feels different than it used to because they change these minor little things to accommodate for issues. And there's a few headphones that come to mind that have examples of this. Yeah, but
It's
I
like
guess
tweaks.
You see a lot of that. Like it looks physically the same, right?
Yeah.
And you go to use it and you're like, actually, this is totally different than what it used to be. It feels different. It functions different.
It's always Apple. I don't know, but you would the iPhone 13 to 14 is a good example because they look the same on the outside, but they're completely redesigned on the inside, and that helped out a lot because I had a 13 Pro Max and now a 14 Pro Max, and my 13 would overheat all the time. The screen would dim. 14 doesn't anymore. And it's the same brightness and everything.
I had the same issue, always throttling.
Yeah.
You couldn't see the screen a lot of times because it would just be throttled and you could just be so dim.
Yep.
But they fixed it on the 14.
Minor change because it's the same weight, same I think thickness and everything, but the internal changes.
I don't know. It's really heavy.
Yeah, fixed it.
Yeah. But they actually have been doing that for some time now. And I guess that's sort of a good example because for the longest time, people were fighting to make a thinner and lighter phone. And I think the primary issue, because it seemed like a good marketing tactic and it seemed like it was an interesting technical challenge because it was difficult then. Now it's trivial to make a thin phone because it's been done so many times as technology's improved quite so significantly. So I think the focus isn't on making thin anymore because it isn't technically interesting, which is kind of funny because the consumer sort of doesn't really care about that.
Yeah, they went the other way.
Yeah.
Now they're making them way heavier and thicker because what works better. You could put a bigger battery and you could put bigger camera sensors in. The bumps for the cameras are so big now, but the cameras work better and people care about that.
There's a lot of things in the world that are like that where you take something to an extreme in terms of engineering.
And they're like, oh, let's go back.
Yeah, right. It's like, well, you know what? People kind of want a little more weight. They want it a little bigger.
They don't
want
really
this.
care. Like it's big wheels and stuff like that on cars. That's an issue. A lot of manufacturers have been putting 22s on everything and stuff like that from the factory. Trouble is, especially up north where you get a lot of freeze-thaw cycles and you get snow and ice and stuff like that, the roads go to hell over the winter and there's craters everywhere and it cracks and bends wheels, and it's very expensive.
You physically got to have another set of wheels for the winter.
Plus, they don't ride as well. They're more expensive.
They're loud and brakes and all the time.
I think they figured out, though. Like I noticed, at least in the past, some of the upper-end manufacturers, at least, they tend to have different. They actually supply different rims and tires depending on whether you're in a southern climate or a northern.
Yeah.
Like the southern cars will just come with summers on it.
Yeah.
Right.
But the northerns are all be all season. So they figured out the tire situation. But I agree with the rims.
Yeah.
It's all over the place.
Well, Tesla's still doing that.
Yeah.
If you get the best model, it comes with bigger wheels and bigger brakes, and you used to be able to take that off because I don't want the bigger brakes because then the trouble is now you got to get 19-inch winter wheels.
Right.
Well, I don't want to have to do that because now I need to get more expensive
Well,
winter tires and wheels.
Yeah.
Well, I don't need bigger brakes on the street, so it's fine. It doesn't make a difference in braking.
I
It's
put
the traction
20s on
that's
my
the issue.
Wrangler. I like it. Yeah. With 35-inch tires.
Yeah, well, that's different.
It's less practical.
Yeah.
Yeah.
The tires are less available and they cost considerably more.
Yeah.
And they're not better.
Well, it actually delayed him getting his car for months because how uncommon people don't want the smaller rims on that vehicle. So,
Yeah, they tried to push me into the bigger wheels. I'm like, well, I don't want them though. That's why I ordered this.
Yeah.
Like, yeah, but it's free.
Yeah.
Okay, well, I don't want it.
So to me, I would just take that as a compromise. I want the bigger brakes. I'll figure out the tires.
Well, it depends on the vehicle. This vehicle in particular is not, in terms of braking distance, it's not limited by the brakes for the first stop at normal speeds. It's limited by the traction available. So the bigger brakes don't improve stopping distance.
Yeah,
they increase cost of operation.
I'll lock up either way.
Right. The tires are going to slide either way. So what does it matter?
Right.
Yeah, it matters. Big consideration. Some people put a little bit more emphasis in than others. But the reality is it tends to be expensive to get really good feel on products.
Go back to like the early days when you were first in school, maybe kindergarten or first grade. And remember we used to have finger painting? And they'd bring out all those different colors and the stuff was like smooth and slippery and you just slime it all over the place.
And a mess.
That's got to be the most messy as hell, but the most fun thing. That's your first real lessons other than falling face down on a floor or concrete.
That's a sensory experience.
Yeah, where
Yes.
you're like, oh, that's neat, you know, and it's got a certain temperature to it. Like maybe it's in a cubby or a back room where it's colder than you're, like, stuff
cold
like that, or
paint,
like
yes.
that sets up memories like from you just never forget. And I get that people.
Oh, just like a chalkboard that just rough.
Yeah.
Chalky.
Oh, yeah.
It's like that.
Yeah. Some people are more immune to that than others, you know.
I know. There was one kid in class, didn't affect him at all. But I was like,
great.
oh my
Yeah.
God.
And teachers too, they'd be like doing that. Like, it didn't even bother them. Like just to F
You're
with the
just
kids.
used to it.
Right.
You know, but talk about
Ugh.
extremes. Yeah. So, but these are lessons we want. It's just, it's funny, but listening, even though you're not touching anything, listening to music has the same sort of experiences where the brain, right, is the ultimate subjective. It's offering you the response to whatever the stimuli is picking up, whether it's touch, hearing, sight, smell, all the senses, right? So it's kind of all the same. It really is when you think about it. This whole thing about hand, it's not even just strictly about sensory.
It's not about the touch. That's the important thing.
And like
it's about
you
everything.
said, it's about what you remember, what your brain, what your habits are, what you're accustomed to. And when you first see something, you go, "Oh, that's going to suck," without even touching it. You don't have no idea. It might not. But
You know what? Speaking of like finger
Preconceived.
paint and stuff,
yeah.
construction paper. Ugh. Never liked it. It's like rough.
Yeah,
Real gritty, yeah.
Kind of absorbs the moisture off your fingers. Yeah, where everything gets dry when you start playing with it. Yeah.
That's the thing. You never use it again after like first grade
Scissors
or whatever.
through construction paper.
I don't even know where they
Get that
sell
real
it.
sandy texture.
I've never seen it for I don't know.
It's an easy way to make things,
Yeah.
flat.
That's actually a thing, though. We talked about those expensive scissors before, like $70 scissors or whatever.
Yeah.
Running those through thick paper,
Ooh.
so silky. And it's shocking how much of a difference it makes, but it's like, this is
butter.
a joy to use.
Yeah.
Yeah. I got like 6 pairs of scissors that I use for every one for one task.
Yeah.
They're all different.
Yeah, because we got all different materials you work with.
Right.
You got to cut stainless with one.
But curiously, in a lot of these situations, it massively impacts your precision.
Yeah.
Just because it's such a buttery smooth thing, you don't get the feel from like the grit as it's running through. You don't get like the rough texture from the blades interacting as you're slicing. So you get way more precision out of your cuts. You could start and stop more precisely because you could see what's happening better. You could feel it better. And there's a lot of relationships like this, especially in audio.
You remember that episode of the Star Trek Next Generation where they found Scotty stuck in a ship in a loop?
It's called Relics.
Yeah, Relics, yeah. And he's like, and he was in the thing, he was in the...
Transporter?
Yeah, right. And he's like, well, no, he was reminiscing. He says, he was talking to Jordy, I think, you know, back in the day, I used to be able to tell how fast we were going by the feel of the deck plates of the ship, right? But on your ship, I don't feel anything.
I just feel in the way.
I just feel in the way, yeah. It's kind of like that. He used to know how fast the ship was going just by standing on it.
Well, back in the 60s, things had a little more shake to them.
By the vibrational engine. And now it's so the new ship was
Enterprise
so smooth.
D was silk.
Yeah, that he had no idea whether he was even moving or not. So
No, I get that.
There is a thing to this whole hand and feel that actually can be, a good thing.
Sometimes you want a little feedback.
Right. You don't want it to disappear totally because it sets up
That
other
is true,
things.
because we got some new scissors, some Shun. They were the highest end ones. They're like $70 or whatever. And it was so smooth, I almost cut through aluminum with them. Because they would too. Yeah.
Wow.
I liked them so much. They make a kitchen shear version. I had the lower end
That's
one.
a sharp
I
ass
bought them
frickin'-
because I liked them so much.
Yeah.
For home.
That's pretty sharp, man.
They're nice.
See, that shit scares me.
Buy
I
'em.
like dull knives myself.
No.
Just enough to cut turkey smooth. I'm good.
No.
Beyond that, someone else can carve it.
Yeah.
We got to get out of here. Thanks, everyone, for watching. Thumbs us up if you like it. And subscribe. Hit subscribe. Find a way to hit subscribe on our Abyss channel. Thanks. Take care.